So here's your spec sheet. So it'll tell you kind of all the basic specs about each battery.
Okay.
And of course, here's what we're looking to charge between is 14.2 and 14.6. Your new converter is going to take care of that for you. Recommended float voltage is 13.6. Perfect. The new Progressive Dynamics lithium converter floats at 13.6.
So what did you have to do before when there was only like a one stage? You had to
Single
unplug
stage, if you wanted to stay plugged in for a long period of time, you needed a disconnect switch right off your battery bank to shut off your battery bank. And then your converter will put power to your 12-volt circuits.
Yeah.
But now, there's no worry about it with the two-stage.
So it's clearly maintenance-free.
Clearly maintenance-free.
All right.
Oh.
Yep. Yep. Lighter.
Yeah, so this is 31 pounds.
That's
How
less
much
than
is
the
lead
twin.
acid battery?
65, 70 pounds.
That's it, yeah.
Twice as much.
It's less than a twin.
Less than the twin. They're 42 pounds. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you have
Brandon?
questions, call me, email me. I've sent you copies of the invoice and the receipt from my personal.
All right.
We're going to Battle Born. And we're going to Battle Born.
Hi BDA family, it's Cheryl from Bright Days Ahead, and today I want to talk to you about Battle Born Lithium Batteries. We're here in Reno, Nevada, and we realized, hey, I think Battle Born's here, and we've been kind of thinking about it for a little bit. So yesterday we visited the headquarters of Battle Born, and we had a sales consultation. So before you see any of the rest of the thing, I want you to know that we paid for this. So we did not get a promotional product or anything free. So we paid our hard-earned dollars for this. But we went over there and we're going to show you a little bit about the sales consultation and the guys that helped us. We'll even show you a tech call and how we installed it. But I want to tell you a little bit why we were looking at getting a lithium battery. And that's mainly for this thing. This is a residential fridge. So in an RV, you can have two types of fridges. You can have either a residential fridge or an RV fridge. An RV fridge runs on propane, or you can convert it to shore power. This one runs just on power. So if we have disconnected from our shore power and we're not plugged in, we need something to run it. And the batteries that we had that came with it, we already run one set down, are lead acid batteries. And so this is not a video about solar power. We are kind of anti-solar because we're anti-boondockers. I know there's a lot of people out there that do that, and I think it's great. But for our family, it just doesn't work for us as well, except for the occasional night. Because when we do make a beeline somewhere, we might stay at a Harvest Host or Boondockers Welcome or even Walmart. And in the past, when we've done that, our lead acid batteries will suck dry and die in about 4 hours. This thing's big. I got it because it's huge and it has a freezer and it's just like the one at my Sticks and Bricks. But how can I run it a little longer than 4 hours? So we wanted to look at lithium batteries. And you're about to see, a lot more technical than me, to explain to you that we have 200 amp hours. This pulls about 3 amps. There's a few other things in here. So 200 amps, this pulling 3 amps, that gives us a little longer than 4 hours. 60 hours, but let's just do conservative. If I'm pulling 10 amps, that at least gives us 20 hours. Now we're in until at least a night, overnight in a Harvest Host without having to worry about anything melting in my fridge. You'll also see that we had to upgrade our converter. And so then I had the question, well, wait a minute, what if we do run a generator on boondocking? And so he said, you have a 60 amp converter, you have 200 amp hours. He said, it's simple math, Cheryl. You divide 60 into 200, and in about 3 hours and 20 minutes, my generator can charge back up my lithium batteries if I run it dry. So that's a lot of math and numbers, but I just want to at least tell you why we were looking at lithium batteries. And that's simply to do an occasional boondocking. Not enough to go out for a week on solar power. That's just not us, because we like water flowing in and water flowing out. Where are we? Do we remember? What's this place called?
Battle Born.
Battle Born. Battle Born. And we're in Reno, Nevada, which Nevada is the Battle Born state, which I think is where they get their name, because it's the only state that was entered into the Union during the Civil War. Hi.
Hello, how's it going?
Yes, it's the 3740 BH, specifically BHR, so it has the residential fridge.
Okay.
So that it's a bunkhouse model. So we have a generator up front, and we did replace our 2 original batteries because they went dead
Okay.
with just regular deep cycle battery. I think Sam's Club or.
Yeah.
Well, so Brandon, can you give us like the little spiel, like why, like what's the matter with our batteries now, and why would we go with like lithium?
So the batteries that you have now are lead acid based, and of course they have a 50% discharge floor, and like you mentioned, you went below that 50% discharge floor, they didn't
And then it's
recover.
not charging back up at all.
You lose that
Or you
top
just
end
charge
charge.
to the 50% and then it just keeps doing that until
Right,
there's
so
nothing.
if you have a 200 amp hour lead acid bank with a 50% discharge floor,
Mhm.
you only have a usable 100 amp hours.
Okay.
Battle Born's fully usable capacity, 200 amp hour battery bank, fully usable 200 amp hours. You can drain them to 0, no harm. No charge memory will be developed. Charge them all the way back up to the top, no problem. So it's kind of maintenance free, saves the headache about thinking about your batteries. You put them in, you use what you have, you take a look at the battery monitor, it gives you a percentage. That'll be pretty accurate. Charge it when you need to.
Hello, BDA family. How are you? Well, it's a new day. We went to Battle Born yesterday. We're in Reno, Sparks, Nevada, and we actually didn't come here to see Battle Born, but when we got here, I realized they were in Reno, so we called them up, went over for a consult yesterday. Weren't able to do the tour, but we did buy a package from them, a lithium battery package, in order to drop it in our Solitude, hopefully within the next couple hours. So what was included in the package was, I'll just read the quote real fast, 2 Battle Born batteries, a battery monitor, and then also a converter. So we actually called Grand Design this morning, thank you, and they told us the exact location of the converter, because I wasn't sure if it was behind the fuse panel or if it was behind one of these panels in the basement. They said it was behind the middle panel in the basement, so we'll do that secondly. So this is the converter. The converter actually changes AC to DC. It charges up your batteries. And go ahead and take a look at one of the batteries. So the great thing about lithium is 2 times the power at half the weight. So this battery, instead of being a typical 50, 60, 70 pounds that a lead acid battery is, this one's only 35 pounds. So lift it right out of here. So it's configured the same way as our existing RV batteries, so the installation ought to be easy. We'll go ahead and take the other one out of here. Nicely packaged. They put them in the truck for me yesterday at the factory, which was a really cool experience. So again, here's the second battery. So there's also a shunt here. Not exactly sure what that is. They gave me this wire to connect from my negative to the shunt, and then the negative battery. The negative wire from the battery goes on the other end of the shunt. So just wanted to do the unpackaging now. We've got everything unpackaged. Now we will start the installation process. We're going to install the batteries first and the battery monitor, and then we'll proceed after that to installing the converter.
So here's what the inside currently looks like. So these are the 2 lead acid batteries with the vents. And so these have to be vented because they're the lead acid. And these are actually our second set of batteries. We replaced a set in September when we drained them, memory life. We killed them one night boondocking, which we're not boondockers, but even just one night we killed it because of our residential fridge. So you see it's right by our generator in this front bay of our Grand Design Solitude 3740 BH. So this is where John's going to install the new lithium batteries and then also the battery monitor.
So what I'm doing is taking out the existing batteries and the vented covers. I'm going to still use the covers, but I won't need the vent system anymore because lead acid requires vents, but the lithium don't. Heavy, heavy, heavy. Lead acid. One out. It's much lighter. Oh, much easier to handle. And drops right in the existing battery holder, so that makes it nice. So Cheryl took a picture of where all the wires came off of the old battery in case I need it for reference. But obviously the blacks are going to go to negative and the reds are going to go to positive. So working on that now. So the lead acid batteries, if you see that one, they had top posts. The Battle Born Lithium Battery actually are mounted sideways, so you have to make sure these wires are, they're not going to go right on top like this. You're going to have to configure them from the side, which will take a little maneuvering, but we'll work through it. There's plenty of slack in these wires to make it happen. Alright, so the package that Battle Born gave me this 12-inch ground wire to go to the shunt, and it just wasn't working in here. It was not long enough to get to the back wall. You can see I moved the negative to here and it still wasn't long enough, and the negative was originally on this side, so I'm going to go back to that. So just keep in mind, if you do get this 1-footer 12-inch one from Battle Born, it's probably not going to be long enough if you have a similar kind of configuration that I do. So I just went to AutoZone, and for $12 I now have one that's 36 inches long, or 35 inches, so I can get from the negative terminal to the shunt easily and not have to do a stretching maneuver. Alright, looking at the installation, so we see that both batteries are in now. They're wired in parallel, so we have these black wires connecting both, so the bank that's being looked at as one bank of batteries, not two separate batteries, which is why we only have one wire here on the battery monitor, because it's looking at this bank as one bank of batteries and not two batteries, because they're wired in parallel. So that's good. We got all the negatives and all the positives where they're supposed to go. This is the negative here that goes to the shunt. Then the power goes through the shunt and comes out here into the control panel up front. So now the battery monitor, which is plugged in here, is going to be measuring what's happening with the battery charging, how many volts, how many amps, all that stuff will be monitored here, and then you can Bluetooth that to your phone. We will mount this at some point in time back here. Right now we're just going to have it like this, and then we'll Bluetooth it to our phone. All right, I think we're done in here for right now, and I put my Battle Born hat on because I feel better about where we are in the process. So thank you, Battle Born, for the promotional merchandise. I never call it swag, it's promotional merchandise. So it's on to installing the controller in the basement. So wish me luck, say a prayer, here we go. So the inverter, the current converter is plugged in here, so unplugging that, and then I have to take off the terminals, which are with a Allen wrench.
Looks like you're putting your blood, sweat, well maybe not tears, but blood and sweat into
Oh
this.
yeah, scrape my hand up a little bit there. And then this thing, same wrench.
And that's a little grounding wire.
The grounding wire goes to the frame. So now we have the converter in place. I've got two screws started on the back. Before I slid it in there, it's got a slide screw here. So now I have to connect. Uh-oh. Okay, cut. All right, so getting ready to wrap it up in here. The converter is now mounted back there on that shelf. All plugged in, positive, negative ground. It's plugged in here with this 110 outlet. It's no longer in this shelf, difficult to get to, and the positive wire wouldn't reach because of the different configuration. So I think we're all set. No water. Everything looks good back here. You can put the wall back up. And again, expect the worst, hope for the best.
Okay, I wanted to take a second to show you the Vitron Connect app. So this app works with a Bluetooth enabled battery monitor to manage your battery power, so you can see where it is. So here's a smart battery monitor, and you want to connect it with Bluetooth, so that's it. So it's picking up the signal that's in our front battery compartment. And so then it shows you the status of your batteries. Now we are connected to shore power, so it shows us 100% charged. And it also shows us at 13.5, which isn't the total voltage, but that's because it's in a floating, which it will do when it's on shore power. And then if we were actually running them, you'd see the current, the power, your consumption, and any time remaining. Now we've only, I think, traveled once, and so we have just a little bit of history. You can kind of see where you had, like, we used up some power, discharged energy, and the time. And then when we had max voltage was at that 14.5, which is our max voltage. And then we don't really have any trends, but if you are boondocking or using this for solar, you can kind of start to see your battery consumption and what you use. So a real neat app that you can manage your battery power instead of just kind of guessing. Because one thing we learned on the lithium is if you wait to use your battery monitor that was installed with your rig, it'll show you full until it's all done, and then it'll be empty, because that lithium is so sensitive that when it's gone, it's gone. So you want to really get a better battery monitor that can manage your actual battery power and where it is. So that was our Battle Born battery install that you just watched. And while we haven't tried them out in their full capacity yet, we do have enough peace of mind and confidence now that we have several boondocking overnights coming up, whether they're at Harvest Host or Boondockers Welcome. So just having that peace of mind has really given us the confidence to kind of stretch our boundaries and try a little boondocking. And don't get crazy, we're not doing a week and we're not going out and getting solar, but we are having couple nights coming up. So we're very excited to give it a try. So I hope you like that video. Please leave us some comments. That's how we get to know you, and we love helping and inspiring and just getting to know you. So I appreciate you from subscribing and hitting that bell to remember to tune in. And we just want to give you the confidence to have more bright days ahead.